Badgers. I thought I would give you a little update on the progress of the square canvas kit I've been working on. This one I did a post, I think 3 or 4 days ago. I don't remember exactly, but I did a community post talking about how I was working on this one for kind of the St. Patrick's Day spirit, because you can't tell right now, but she actually has a huge cloud of green hair towards the top of her head. This is I think it measures a 30 by 50 or a 30 by 60. I can't remember now, something like that. But it's one of those sort of long-ish portrait ones. And in the post I had mentioned that this is actually one of the oldest kits I have in my canvas, or in my collection. I don't know if it's the oldest one. I can't remember what the oldest non-done one is in my collection so far, but this is up there. This was done or purchased in the early months of my first year of collecting canvases and just starting diamond painting. And I guess you could say it was always kind of one of my rainy day kits, sort of. I always had it in my mind, but it was one of those ones that's like we get those images, those canvases in our head where we're like, oh, it's so pretty, I don't want to work on it. But then we think about it and we're like, that's stupid. Of course you wanted to work on it and see it done and be able to look at it. So yeah, this year I just felt the compulsion to pull it out and actually work on it. And I was thinking, because of her cloud of green hair, should be fun for St. Patrick's Day. And I couldn't figure out, I kept thinking about doing an update for this one, and I couldn't figure out how I wanted to do it. Like, I kept thinking I was just gonna do a picture community post and mention something, and then I thought I would do a short after finishing this part and showing you how it was coming together. And then today I didn't work on it at all so far today. I was sitting down to do that tonight, but earlier today I was working out in the yard a little bit, because it's actually been pretty nice the last couple days. It's been, again, in like the 65, 70-ish degree area. Yesterday for a little bit it was like 80 degrees, and then that's when I was like, this is a bit much. Let's ease into the 80-ish. We have plenty of time to get to the circle of hell for the south. But yeah, I'm all for the 65, 75-ish range of spring, because it never lasts too long in the south, especially. So when it comes around, I like to enjoy it as much as possible. I mentioned in the, I think it was one of the unboxings I did recently. I don't know if it was the chili pepper one. One of the unboxings I did recently, I mentioned about the feeling of being able to feel sun on my elbows again for the first time in ages. And yeah, I'm still kind of in that mindset. And also it's been good just because I've been struggling energy wise and mood wise. It's been a lot the last month or so, between losing Huck and then a few days later losing my grandmother, and then kind of, I guess, sort of the stress and sadness from that triggered a bunch of symptoms with all the conditioned stuff I have in my body. A lot of things in my autoimmune stuff was triggered, and so I've been struggling with just physical energy of doing stuff a lot lately. So yeah, my my body overall has been going through kind of a rough time behind the camera. So when it started getting nice, that is one of the things I've always leaned on from the time I was little, is that if you feel bad, one of the quick ways to fix it, at least for me, is to get outside a little bit, feel some air, experience some chlorophyll, something, see some wildlife. That always works way better for me than any sort of chemical medication I could think of. Even though I have tried chemical routes, it's always better for me to just, be with the land a little bit. And so I was feeling that today. Even though I was still kind of struggling a little bit with energy, I wanted to be out in the dirt a little bit. I was feeling it out in my yard a little bit. Cleaned up some plants that had been struggling with, you know, all the storm buildup around him, because we had a chain of storms that, like 3 or 4 that hit together. And through the winter, I was just kind of like, you know what, I'm just going to let that stuff go, and I'll wait till we're all done with whatever all this is weather-wise. And then, you know, spring started coming in just a little bit. So, yeah, once March came around, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna do a little bit, try to get out there. I can't work to the same level that I used to. You know, I'd mentioned in a past video that I have a lot of experience as far as, like, you know, growing up in the outdoors and working landscaping jobs and stuff. So I used to have a lot better stamina, but just with the progression of illness, it's done a number on my body and my organs and stuff. So I get fatigued a lot easier than I used to. But I still try to get out there and still try to do stuff as much as I can. It's just, I just have to pay attention to when my body starts signaling this is enough. I think I pushed it a little too far today just because I got excited for the warm weather and I was feeling good out in the sun. And I may have pushed my energy stores a little bit more than I should have, because I'm kind of feeling it now. But I figured I would go ahead and, you know, I took a shower, I cleaned up, feeling rested. I am feeling the fatigue though, so I figured I would kind of chill out. I made some coffee. Figured I would do a really chill whip and chat with you guys and talk about this. But that's one of the reasons why this is only as far as I've made it. Also, I forgot how much slower I mean, I feel like I'm still doing all right with it, but I forgot how much slower progress for me is when I'm doing squares. I guess maybe because I'm just not in the habit of doing them. I do them from time to time, but I generally have better speed with rounds, as I guess a lot of diamond painters do. And this is a budget square, so I thought I would just show you quality wise, progress wise, where I was at. I tried to look up a link for this one because I got this one back in 2020, so I figured there's very little chance I was going to find it again. I can show you a kind of what an image of what it's going to look like. So that's supposed to be what it looks like. Something about the eyes, it reminds me a little bit of Emily Blunt in the first Devil Wears Prada movie. Not so much the hair, but like the eye look she had in that movie with the, you know, heavy eyeliner, heavier than she tends to do in a lot of roles now. Something about that kept reminding me of that movie and like the look and everything. But yeah, that's generally what it's supposed to look like. And I just, so you see her hair is just got like sort of a, I don't know if it's quite a braid, but there's like a little bit of at least a ponytail coming down the back. And I just started the green part on that last night. So yeah, we're just starting the bottom of the ponytail there. I've got a little bit of the accent colors to do up here. Those tend to go pretty quick. The thing that was taking a while was doing all the green, and it was primarily 500 green and 939 blue through here. I don't think there's any 310 in this, if I remember right. Yeah, I don't think there's any 310. It's all the dark stuff is 939. So yeah, it took me a while to get through all of that. For being an older kit, the stickiness is holding up nice. So yeah, all the little accent colors are coming together pretty quick. But yeah, just about a third of the way through. So, you know, thought I would do a little bit of a whip and chat. Had a little bit of a funny, cute sort of moment of humanity that I could experience earlier today. So it kind of put me, I guess, in a little bit of a chatty mood that I could maybe build a whip and chat around. I don't do a lot of whip and chats, not because I have anything against them. I just, I don't know. I feel like it's hard for me to schedule them. I tend to just do them when I have sort of a topic in mind. Also, I guess I feel a little bit self-conscious doing my drilling on camera because if you're new to watching me do WIP and chats, a lot of times when I do videos, I tend to just do the completion reels, or if I do project vlogs, I'll talk about what I'm doing and then I'll do a cutaway to what I did and said, this is what I did. I don't tend to show a lot of drilling on camera outside of WIP and chats. I guess because I feel a little bit self-conscious sometimes doing that, because one thing, the way I've always drilled pretty much from the time I started diamond painting is I straighten as I go. I know a lot of people tend to do a big straighten of lines when they're all done, and a lot of people will say, you know, it's very time consuming to do it as you go. I don't really notice it so much. For me, doesn't bother me. I think because I've been diamond painting for like 6 years now, so it's sort of second nature for me to do a little bit straighten, do a little bit straighten, and then once everything is done, then I'll go and do a big scan of the whole canvas, and I'll straighten anything that I feel still looks a little bit off. Also, with doing square kits, and this being a budget kit from AliExpress, the thing with budget squares is that they're not typically really uniform in shape. So I have it on the light board now, so you can kind of see that there's a fair amount of gapping. When you take it off the light board, when you just hold it up, see, it's not really that noticeable, but it is noticeable when you're working on it how the squares are not perfectly uniform. So you're going to get gapping, you're going to get squares that have a little bit of a weird edge on them sometimes. Doesn't make it, you know, useless as a project. Doesn't mean you can't work on it and still enjoy it. I mean, there are some people in the diamond painting community that will go off and be like, I will not waste my time with anything that's not premium. And fair enough. That's, everybody can paint whatever they want to. But yeah, I thought I would show you progress on this and show you that just because it's a budget square doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be automatically disappointed with it. This one, I haven't had any issues with popping drills or anything. I was a little bit nervous. That's one of the things I was sort of hinting at when I did that post a few days ago, and I was talking about how, you know, prayers for my sanity, because this being an older AliExpress kit, and if you've watched vlogs in the past of other people, you might have heard the lore of the years ago when there was the whole popping fiasco with Huacan drills, especially. Everybody was sort of steering away from doing Huacan square drill kits because of the popping issues. I think they've since fixed a lot of that, but there was a period in there where their quality was just really questionable, and it also popped up in a few other companies on the budget sites, and I wasn't sure if this was going to be one of them because I hadn't worked on it yet. So yeah, so far I haven't had any issues with it. And for all y'all that shared the tip about when you do square kits starting from the middle and working out, thank you for that. That's probably what helped a bunch with this kit, because that is something that I've run into in the past with doing some square kits, is figuring out how to get the border right, because that is a condition you kind of run into a lot of times with square kits. And I've heard some people even run into it every so often with some of the premium kits. Just depends on how it was graphed. But every so often people will talk about how if you start from one side or the other, sometimes you run into an issue where it doesn't fit right, and you get to like this corner or this corner of the canvas, and the drills, there's no room for the last line of drills to go on there because everything is wonky and you can't figure out why. So I did hear a while back from some creators saying that they had run into that in the past, and the way they've fixed that is to start in the middle and then gradually work one way or the other out, and it seems to alleviate a lot of that. And for me, I think it's working with this one because, you know, I've gotten a good chunk of this side done and only a little bit left on this side, and I haven't run into any issue with the borders. The only issue I've run into with the borders is there's this little section up here where there's this little line of drills up here where they just keep drifting a little bit, and it's just this one little section where there's like 4 or 5 of them, where every so often I'll look over and they'll kind of be drifting off, and I'll have to come back like a, you know, elementary school field trip advisor, coordinator, whatever, being like, where are you going? Reel and corral them back in. But that's really the only issue I've run into. Everything seems to be fitting just fine. So yeah, we've got a little bit of her lip coming through. Other than that, she's pretty much still blindfolded because I don't really have, I did a little bit around her eyes, but for the most part, not quite there yet. So we're just working on the first third of this, finishing that up. And I'll try to put a section in at the end of this so you can see what it looks like done. I may not finish it in this video, but what I'll probably do is finish it up and then show you what that section looks like. And then tomorrow, I'm not sure if I'll get this video edited tonight. I may save this as an edit for tomorrow and upload it tomorrow. And then tomorrow, as far as project-wise on diamond painting, I'm going to try to push through and try to get a good chunk of this one done, because I would like to see it done for St. Patrick's Day, hopefully. At least get her face done, maybe. But hopefully get her done by then. So yeah, thought I would do that and do a little whip and chat around it. I just barely started working on the 4s here. They're pretty hard to see. But yeah, all those white numbers there. That is a 561 green. So the way this has been working is I'm still kind of in the building of the darkish green shadows, and then we're going to ease into the lighter greens as we go up, is I think how the design is supposed to work. I'm using one of the pens that I highlighted in my, what it's called, Fun 3D Temu Finds video I did not too long ago. Still loving these. I figured these lightweight ones would be really nice for control doing the squares. I am trying to get the lines as, you know, straightened out as possible, but because this is a budget squares, the thing I was talking about how the squares aren't going to be perfectly aligned because each individual square has a slightly different edge to it, because that just tends to be the way budget squares roll as far as production. So I try not to be too obsessive over it. I try, even though it does bug me a little bit that some of the areas are a little bit wavy. Like this, I can't get the lips to stop drifting a little bit. It's one of those things where once you look at it from far away, it looks fine, but like up close to where I'm at, it's hard not to be obsessive of like, it's off. Anyway, all right, I'm gonna stop fucking with it. Okay, let's see. I guess I'll start with this side and do the squares here. So yeah, I thought I would just do like a casual little whip and chat today, because I was a little bit inspired with just a random moment that happened earlier today as I was working. I was kind of flitting back and forth around the front of my house and the back of my house, and I was cleaning up some brush and stuff that was fallen in the front of my house area. And while I was doing that, one of the Amazon delivery guys came by, and it was just really funny moment. It was cute, but it kind of took me by surprise, because normally the Amazon drivers that come by, they're very sort of, it's not like really incognito, but they're very kind of like subtle. They just sort of pop in and out. And this guy rolled up and he did like a hard stop in front of my house, and no joke, like, you guys remember, I think it was in the DP over Canvas Haul video I did. I think it was in that one where I had that little tangent talk about Van Morrison songs. I was reminded that today because this guy in his Amazon truck did a hard stop in front of my house, and his truck was, I guess he was just feeling the day too, because he had that truck wide open, aired out, and Van Morrison was just blaring. It wasn't Brown Eyed Girl, if you saw that video. He wasn't playing Brown Eyed Girl. But I know Van Morrison's voice. So, yeah, I was just sort of taken aback by that because it's not like Van Morrison's great. Like I mentioned in that video, like I love Van Morrison songs, but he's not really the type of person, his songs, like it's not really the type of sound you expect to be blaring out of a car. It's not really that kind of artist. He's typically more chill, you know, usually like somebody having a barbecue or like at a beach or something, like some like chill in the background or something. But this guy was just he looked like he was having the best day. And like I was already in a good mood, but like just seeing that, just I don't know, his energy and like the truck going off with Van Morrison, and especially being an Amazon driver, because you know, Amazon drivers, like there's been all kinds of news stories about how Amazon drivers are really, they tend to be really overworked and underpaid, and like, you know, desperately needing bathroom and snack breaks and all that stuff. And Amazon Corporation has a lot of like hard rules for them when they're on the road and stuff, and deadlines they gotta hit and stuff. So usually it's not uncommon to see Amazon drivers that maybe look a little bit stressed out, or kind of in a bad mood, or just really fatigued. So to see one that was just loving his day, it's like it was surprising but really great at the same time. And especially like just with the way the world has been lately, I don't know, it was something that you know, you have those moments sometimes where you're like, I didn't know I needed to see that until I did, or you know, didn't know you needed to feel that kind of moment. And I had mentioned earlier in the video that I had been struggling with just like a lot of body fatigue and sort of like, I don't know, kind of heavy mood issues and stuff like that, just with things that were going on in my life, and the way just the world had been rolling out lately. It's been a lot on the psyche, you know? And like anybody in the world, I've just been trying to maneuver it the best I can and push through it, you know, not ignore it, but just try to heal it the best way I know how, and try to push through and still be productive and do what I got to do and all that kind of stuff. But like there was just, for the longest time, it feels like there's just been this sort of lingering heaviness, just kind of in the background of my day-to-day energy. Even though for the most part I tend to be pretty chill and like, you know, let's just see how the day unfolds, and I really try to be as upbeat as possible. But you know, humans are gonna human. Sometimes my soul is tired, and I'd just been feeling that extra a lot lately, like I'm sure most people have. So to just have this surprise moment of this guy just with, you know, the air going through his truck and Van Morrison blaring, and him just looking like he was having a great day, and he's just there dropping off my packages, and we just had a little, you know, friendly exchange of, hey, how's it going? Because I was out there cleaning up stuff around my plants and stuff. And he was putting the boxes down on my porch so I could get them later. And I was like, hey, thanks so much. And he actually, like, his head kind of popped up like he was not used to hearing thank you, which kind of made me a little bit sad for him. But he said thank you back. And then he was like, hey, you have a great day. I was like, hey, you too. And then he got back in his truck and drove off. And the funny thing was, like, for a good while, I could hear the truck moving around the hills in the neighborhood because the sound was not going down at all. And it was like ice cream levels of Van Morrison blaring through, when the ice cream truck goes by and everybody knows what it means. It was kind of like that, like ice cream truck level sound going through the neighborhood, but it was Van Morrison, which was also great. It was, I don't know, it's just like a really cool mood today that felt very much needed because I just noticed like everybody was out today, like kids were out on their bikes and people were taking their dogs out, and even like the older folks in the neighborhood, they got their friends together and were doing slow walks around the neighborhood. People were just taking spring in and it was a good reminder to not waste the good moments, and to make good moments where you can. So I just thought, you know what, for anybody watching this today or tonight or whenever, that's going to be my question for you. It's like, did you get out in the bushes today? Did you blare Van Morrison from a utility truck? Also, did you put on sunscreen? Because let's not forget that. I've been getting a lot of reports on my phone about UV spikes being crazy these days. But yeah, just make time, for good stuff. And don't feel bad about having a few moments to enjoy your life, Because I feel like that also gets to people, because I know that gets to me when things are kind of going bad. It's easy to feel like, I don't know if it's right to say you don't deserve, because it kind of feels like that in your head. Your head kind of makes you feel like you don't deserve to have a laugh or a good moment because there's so many horrible things going on in the world. You feel like you're disrespecting other people's crises in some way or something like that. But that's just, you have to hold on to those good moments though, because that is what pushes you through the bad times and the rough times. That is what gives a soul hope, that's what keeps people going, is having moments where you can remember somebody's laugh or silliness with friends, or a beautiful moment with a song, or seeing your pets be silly. That's when life is turning into a dumpster fire, it's those little moments you need to remember to remind you of why you're trying to get back to those moments and why you're fighting to hold on to a place where you can have those moments again. So there doesn't need to be shame in having a moment here and there where you just you need the heaviness to take a break for a little bit, and you just need to feel a moment of levity again. Because when things are going rough, especially the way they've been going for a lot of people lately, and my mind has been guilty of it too, of having moments sometimes where you have these feelings of like, the way things are, what the hell is the point anymore? Because you just feel like, I don't know, you just feel like there's something that's always on the perimeter, ready to take the good stuff away, kind of. But you, at the same time, you have to remember not to let those feelings, those thoughts gain too much traction and gain too much power, because they are just thoughts, and thoughts are not facts, and thoughts pass. And when things are going really shitty in the world, when things are getting really dark, that's typically when people really start to rely heavily on reminders of, what we used to love, and what gave us hope, and what's going to give us hope again. So there's actually a lot of power and importance in remembering the good stuff and honoring the good stuff, and inviting it to come back into your life, even in the midst of dumpster fire world events. It's good to do the best you can to keep a space for the happy stuff and the silly stuff, because you need those things that are going to stand up to the heavier times and be like, you're not going to break this spirit. You need things that, in whatever way, give you faith in good humanity, and reasons to fight, and reasons to hold on to what you hold dear, and feel that there's still a need and a purpose to fight for it. Because a lot of evil thrives in hoping that we get to the point where we feel like there's no hope and there's no point. That's where they tend to find their power, and that's where they tend to pick up speed, and that's what they tend to feed off of, is good people losing hope and joy. So don't let them. I know, there was that whole trend not too long ago of everybody being like, let them, off of the whole thing that Mel Robbins plagiarized and made a bunch of money off of. But in this case, don't let them. Tell the bad guys to fuck off and not try to steal your laughter and your light. So that's why I thought I would get on camera and remind you to find your own version of, whatever that interpretation is of blasting Van Morrison from a utility truck. Yeah, whatever that means for you. I don't know. Get in the bushes. Whatever your version of get in the bushes is. I don't know. I know some people are not the biggest nature people, right? I know some people would be like, thank you, no, I'd rather not. But I don't know. There are ways to take a moment to remind yourself. Maybe if you're in a more urban area, maybe you look up days where local art museums have free admission or something. If you're on a budget, like a lot of people are now, because everything is bananas expensive, at least in the States. I don't know about all of the world, but in my little corner, things are stupid expensive here now. Thanks to a bunch of boys having dick measuring contests, right? So yeah, we're all trying to ride that out. But in the midst of all that, yeah, go look up what museums have free admission days. Like I know when I was a kid, I'm sure they probably still do, because I saw I saw a thing not too long ago about Balboa Park in San Diego, my hometown. When I was a kid, that was one thing that we used to do a lot, my mom and I, because, you know, my parents didn't have a ton of money, and also my grandma liked to go just because my grandma liked a good deal. But yeah, I think it was on Tuesdays or Thursdays, something like that, where I think it was like, I'm pretty sure it was like all of Tuesday when I was a kid. There was, I don't know if it was all of the museums, but a good chunk of the museums throughout Balboa Park. And if you've never been to Balboa Park, there is a ton of museums there. It's one of the reasons why Balboa Park to this day is genuinely like my favorite place in the world. Of all the places I've traveled around, and I've seen some cool places, but I always go back to nothing quite tops the memories I made at Balboa Park when I was a kid. Because, I mean, there's the San Diego Zoo there, there's the carousel, and Balboa Park has a ton of just different history museums. Any kind of history you want to know about, there's the aerospace museum there. There's a natural history museum. There's a museum of man. There's an art museum. There is the, I forget the name of it, but it's basically like the Japanese history house. It's this area they kind of built to look a little bit like a Japanese tea garden, but it basically teaches about Asian history, Japanese history. There is, I think there's even a museum there that talks about, you know, Mexican American history, culture, which would make sense because San Diego. I think they've put in a ton more since I grew up there. But yeah, that used to be a thing when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure it's still a thing, even though I just saw a thing on every so often. I don't follow San Diego news channel, but every so often the stories come up on my feed still. And there was one that came up on my feed the other day that said that I think the museums are still doing free admission, but the parking lot area of Balboa Park is now charging, like, I forget what it was, $5 or $10 a car or something like that to even get into the place, which is, I don't know, kind of messed. Because like I said, you know, that was a big deal when I was a kid and my mom had no money. She could still, you know, give her kids some culture on basically any Tuesday. And I think there's also, I don't know if it's still there, but I think around there somewhere was a library branch that we used to go to a lot. So my mom would, like, you know, get us a library card and let us check out books and stuff like that. So she figured out ways to get us to have some culture in us, me and my brother. But yeah, that's something you could maybe look into in your area. See if they have some free, if you have an art gallery in your area, see if they have free admission one day, or you know, maybe if you have a theater company in your area, do they have matinee shows that, because matinee shows tend to only be a few bucks. Because a lot of times with matinee shows, or sometimes if not the matinee shows, every so often you can find theater companies that will let you come in for the dress rehearsals. And you can pay like a discounted price where you're basically still seeing the production, but you're kind of basically sitting in on drama practice. That might be something. But yeah, if you're working on a budget, that could be something you could look into. Or I know that in my area anyway, it could be in your area too. One of the popular things sometimes, especially once the weather starts getting warmer. Hold on just a second. I need to refill my wax here somewhere. Oh, okay. Yeah, once the weather starts getting warmer, especially, one of the popular things around here to do is you can sign up for different classes actually at the hardware stores. They'll have different craft classes you can do sometimes, or they'll teach you how to build something. Sometimes you can get like gardening classes depending on what your area offers. But yeah, just like little things you can do that get you outside of your comfort zone, maybe out of the house a little bit, that, you know, help you realize the artistic aspects of life. And something that will get you interacting with other humanity, you know, and interacting with people from different cultures, different backgrounds. I think that's also important, especially here, this time in history, and especially in the United States right now, where there is a lot of rampant racism going on that a lot of us are not participating in. It's just a lot of people in government right now are very anti non-European people at the moment, and there's a lot of really hurtful immigration stances going on right now. And the sad thing is it's triggering a lot of the quiet racists to be a lot more vocal out in the world now, because they think they're being I don't know, they're participating in some sort of misguided kind of patriotism or something like that. But I've never had a big hang up on, like, you know, you can only talk to these people and you have to know your lane and all that and stuff. I'm just like, no, if I want to talk to people, I'll just go talk to people. I don't really get hung up on, you know, those are not our people. And it's like, if there's something I feel like I need to say to them, I'll just go say it. It's just like, I don't put a lot of stock into, you know, putting people on pedestals. Just, I keep it simple. I just live by, don't be a dick. If you're being a dick, I'm going to remember it. I'm going to label you as being a dick and hope you can prove me wrong one day. But yeah, that's pretty much what I look for in people, is just don't be a dick. I don't care about race or color or, you know, what's in the bank account or what's in the garage or who you know or any of that. I just want to see people not be dicks. So yeah, I am all for anybody who is just out there just trying to find the best little moment in every day, to bring it around to the Van Morrison Amazon guy. Loop it back around so there's a freaking point to all this. Yeah, just I appreciate people that are just finding the best in every day, the best they can. And that's something that I would like to do with my channel here. What I try to do is, you know, I try to keep the complaining to a minimum. Like I said earlier, humans are going to human. It's natural to have a bad day here and there, but I don't want it to be a theme on this channel of, you know, coming on with like the heavy voice, because that's one thing that I struggle with sometimes in the diamond painting community is I want to be supportive of people, but there are a lot of people in the community that do videos where I swear to God, I feel like they get a boner, some kind of emotional boner, from being able to complain about stuff and having something that they can bitch about, because that's what they always lead with in their videos. And I want to be supportive of people, but it's hard when I click on a video and it's just like a regular thing where I hear somebody in a low, heavy voice talking about like, oh, let me tell you about every aspect of my health problems and, you know, like my views on the government going to hell and all that stuff. And like it, I don't know, I feel like it's all right to talk about it, but it's hard to listen to when there's very little that's balancing on the other side. There's very little that's like happy and um joyful and things. Like I have a hard time with the videos that are just always really heavy in nature, that want to talk about what a shit show their life is. I'm just like, I mean, on one hand, I get it, because there's plenty in my life that feels like that sometimes, but I don't want to put the focus of my energy on that, because I am one of those people that feels like I do believe that, like, where you place your energy, that's where you're going to breed more of. So I don't want to like blatantly ignore things that are potentially or seemingly going wrong in life. Like, I want to acknowledge them, but I want to do it from a somewhat distanced stance, I guess, where I can acknowledge it, but I also don't want to give it that strong an energy where it's going to keep accelerating in my life. I don't want to give it gas, basically, I want to find ways to focus on, like I said, the things that remind me of why we feel the need to fight for things we believe in. We want to remember what the things we believe in are and why we feel so passionate about them, why we feel so driven to protect children and take care of nature and protect the people we love, and art, and encourage sciences and knowledge and free speech and all of those things. I want to put the bulk of my energy in my channel into driving things of beauty and things that promote mental wellness, not mental heaviness. I want to remember, why we get pulled into art and music, and why we love diamond painting and all of those things, and what it inspires us to do elsewhere in life. I feel like if we put good, powerful energy into things like art and love and happiness and laughter and all that kind of stuff, I feel like that's going to create an energy that's going to really help shift where we're at now collectively as a world. So that's why I feel driven to form my channel the way it is, where yes, I want to acknowledge that there are problematic things in the world, but I want to try to also do my part to put little reminders of why we want to keep fighting for the good stuff, and why we want to remind ourselves of why it's good to remember to stay here. All of us to stay here, to not self-check out, and to be here when tides turn and the good stuff comes back in full force. Because it's messy right now, but we are seeing some of the evil citadels starting to fall, little by little. Some of those walls are starting to come down. Karma is playing out little by little. It's not quite fully there yet, but there are little things that are showing us that it's, the energy is out there trying to do its best to balance the scales and put the good back. But I think the evil has seeped in so pervasively that it's going to take a minute. It's gotten so far, so deep for so long that it's not going to be an overnight thing. But we're seeing little signs of, the scales trying to turn back into the favor of the good. So I'm trying to do my little part over here of trying to keep that good energy going and trying to put little reminders out in the world of things to celebrate, things to admire, things to still be in awe of, so we can get those little bursts of energy to keep us, you know, fighting the good fight, as they say. So this has probably gone on forever. I'm probably going to have to edit a butt ton out of this. But yeah, I think I'm going to wrap it here. Gonna probably cut this down a good bit, but I'm gonna finish this up and then I'll put in a clip at the end of this to show you what this one little third looks like done. And then yeah, tomorrow I'm probably gonna put in a good little bulk of time to try to you know, get a good little section of this done and try to see if I can get it done by St. Patrick's Day, hopefully. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. Good on you for staying until the end. Appreciate it. And we will talk soon. Next day, brighter light update on this canvas here. This is the 1/3 of this. I think it's a 30 by 50 portrait. This is the 1/3 finished. So I thought I would show you that in a little bit better light. I'm pretty impressed with it so far. I think, I mean, it's hard to tell because, like I said in the earlier part of the video, she's still kind of blindfolded. But so far, what's coming through from her face, I'm pretty impressed. I think the detail is there. This is one of those ones where, like, up close, the shading looks a little bit weird, but then when you hold it back, you're like, ah, I get it. It is kind of working. So yeah, the coloring on the neck might be a little bit weird up close, but it's one of those ones, it's like once you hold it back, the shading comes through and you start seeing a lot more of the detail. So yeah, I think a really nice amount of dimension came through on her lip there for a square. And then I'm also liking how the moody green detailing is coming through this like dark blue on each side. And you can just barely start to see her green ponytail coming through there. So that's the first third done. And I was going to mention this part earlier, this brown paper, in case anybody was curious what this was. This is actually baking parchment. And this is something that I came across, I think it was during the last, what do they call it? Prime days on Amazon, where for some reason it just came up on my feed for something else I was looking at, and it just dawned on me that I'm like, hey, that could actually work as big sheet release paper. Because I knew I had some big canvas projects coming up, and I just felt like doing the smaller release papers was going to be taken forever on the bigger canvases I had in mind to do. So I thought I would try it first on this one to see how I like it. So take the parchment pack here. So it comes in these sheets of, it's basically like an 8x11, 8.5 by 11 standard sheet of paper size parchment. This one's folded up a little bit. Standard sheet size for, you know, cookie sheets, obviously. It's what it's originally designed for. But I figured with the size of it, when you're doing the large canvases, and maybe you don't want to do like a little baby section, maybe you want to do a bigger piece, and maybe something happens to the cover sheet, because sometimes the bigger canvases can have damaged plastic or paper cover sheets from time to time. So I thought I would try this and see how I like it, and I do like it. So yeah, it's just simple parchment paper. As far as I can tell, it works on both sides. I haven't had any issue with it. The only thing with this is, you might notice in this corner, it gets a little bit delicate because it is super thin parchment paper. So it can potentially tear here and there, but it hasn't affected the glue or anything. It's not, like, see, even when it tears here, it pulls right up like a regular parchment. It's still sticky. Yeah, haven't had any issue with it. So thought I would mention that if you want to try that. The one I'm using here is Hovico. I don't think it has to be this brand specifically. This just happened to be the one that was on super discount during Prime days. I think this one was like $5.99 or something when I got it, and it's 130 sheets in here altogether. So I figured that would last me a good few projects on the bigger canvases. Yeah, just thought I would mention that real quick at the end of this video. And that's it. Now I'm on to move to her face. So yeah, more updates coming soon, or maybe a completion, I don't know. But thanks for watching, and we will talk soon. Bye guys.